Hey, good morning. It is Sunday and not Saturday because I had things going on yesterday. Wow. Oh my goodness. So, so let me say hi to everybody. What's up? So we've got who we got up in here. We've got Heat Shield. Good morning. Mistaken Reapers here. Mr. Shadow Kitty. What's going on? We got Vandalia 1998. How are you? We got Nether. How you doing, Nether? Michael, what's up? You waved. I waved back. Um, awesome. Over from Progressive Liberals Discord. Sweet. Mr. P is here. Normally I stream on Saturdays at 10 a.m., but I actually had like people coming to my house during that time to measure for new countertops because when I bought this house, um, it was really, really old anyway. And so the countertops are in there since 1995. So that's how old my house is. My house is really kind of, well, I say old, but okay. Anyway, so I couldn't stream yesterday. So I want to make certain I could stream today. So pushed it to today. And I haven't seen you guys in a couple weeks. So this is awesome to catch up with you. Juv, JUV, what's up? Amiga Nuts, how you doing? Danny Spitz, Tony Designs. What's up, guys? So much has happened. Let's see. My first house was built in 1891. Are you a vampire, Tony Designs? I got Jamin was in here. Jamin, how you doing? He had some questions about COVID-19 and all of that. We're going to talk about that today. Oh, goodness. Just have the people measuring as guest stars. I could. I have to say, in my particular area, I found it, I'm going to talk about masks here. I found it, I find it pretty jarring and upsetting that a lot of people in my town don't wear masks. I do, I do, I order my groceries on an app, and my town is small, so I can always find a spot to go. Let's see, I can always find a spot to go and, like a reserve, you have to reserve a time, and then you can go and they put the groceries in your vehicle. And I have I have a truck, I have a Colorado truck, recently given to me from um, a, a now past relative. It's been a rough year, guys, I'll be honest. But I still wear a mask even when I'm in my truck. I'm trying to normalize wearing masks, and that is fine. It's okay. So I'll go and I wear my mask, and even the workers aren't wearing the mask correctly, and I'm just so disheartening. But yesterday, hope, guys, had some hope. The people who came over, I keep extra masks here. And since I work in academia, it's going to be pretty important for the people that I work with. If they don't have masks, I have reusable ones. So I bought about 20. They're just all black, and they're, just whatever, throw it on. But you can wash it. So I bought a bunch of these. So I had these on hand just in case you want to come over and didn't have a mask. I had one. I'm like, you know what? Maybe people don't have masks. I'll have them. But they had them anyway. And they're like, no, we got our own. It's fine. They came in, didn't touch anything really, measured, told them be safe and have a nice day. And it was great. So a little bit of hope there. A little bit of hope there. Oh, goodness. That is not an old house. Americans, I know it's not an old house. We're all silly. Hello, new non sequitur. How are you? Alrighty. So it's pretty, it's been a rough year so far, guys. But there's lots to talk about. A whole lot to talk about. And particularly, one thing I actually write stuff down now. In case you're wondering, I do write it in my little moleskin. So I'm not certain where we can start. Okay, so I guess I could start with this. I'm working with other content creators, and there are some more that want to get involved. So I meant to have this starting last week, but I haven't yet. Let me pull this up on scientistmel.com. I'm doing a swag bag sweepstakes, guys. Um, I'm doing a swag bag sweepstakes. I haven't set it live on my website yet. Um, it's still in draft mode, because I'm still kind of putting together images of the swag bags and trying to get as many content creators involved as I can. Since I have a shop, I do actually have a shop. I have an actual job out. I say actual job. This is a lot of work too, but I have a job separate from this. Um, and so since I have a website, I have my own account through Printful. I make my own merchandise. Um, so this is kind of what the idea is. I'm putting together swag bags from the Geek Room, Shannon Q. I've got Godless Engineer. I got GC Godless Cranium. I've got Omnieris from PvP Psychic Vampire Podcast. I have myself. I think Shabisky wants to get involved. And Hannibal and Monty, they're going to get involved too. So I'm putting together, and I will foot the cost for these swag bags. So let me kind of show you what we're talking about here. So this is a civil rights fundraiser. And so here's the idea. Everybody gets at least one entry for free. You get a free single entry and you enter on my website. Now, if you donate $5, you get 10 entries. If you donate $10, you get 20 entries. If you donate $15, you get 30 entries. Now, you get to pick. I have a list of vetted civil rights organizations, and you get to pick where you want to send your money, where you want to send your donation. So it's not just me going, okay, we're going to raise money exclusively for this civil rights organization or this fundraiser. And you're like, well, I would really rather have my donation go elsewhere. So I've got a donate option that'll be linked to this. I'm collecting the funds, and what I'll do is I'll divvy up wherever people want the money to go. I'll send it, and I'll post all of my receipts, and I'll show where all the money went on my website, full detail. But here we go. So what does some of this stuff look like? Let's have a look. Let me blow this up a bit. Let me see if I can blow this up. Can I make this bigger? All right. So here are some of the benefiting organizations, and I do have a separate list of organizations by state. So if you want to get even more specific, we can do that. So benefiting organizations: Black Lives Matter, the Trevor Project, the National Civil Rights Museum, NAACP Legal and Education Fund. And then I found a list. Rolling Stone put a really nice list together of lots of different organizations listed by state. So if you want to get 30 entries and you're like, I want all of my money to go to the Trevor Project, I got you. I will send it all there. And so what are the prizes? What are the prizes? All right. So again, you don't have to donate. I need to make that clear, because legal reasons, I would prefer you at least throw $5 somewhere, $5 or whatever. But you don't have to donate. You can enter directly on my website right through here. And I've got to finish getting stuff together. But here's some examples. So from my bag, with my swag bag, you can pick whatever design you want. You just look at my website, you pick whatever design you want. If you like this t-shirt and that mug and this bag, doesn't matter. You get to choose any design you want from my website, and I got you. Okay? And so this is normally like a total, we got 44. So this is like a $50 swag bag here. Mug, t-shirt, and a bag. It's a big bag too. So whatever design you want, you got it. All right. Now from the Geek Room, all right, you can get a Geek Room t-shirt. They got a sticker and they got a mug. That's kind of what their little swag bag looks like. Hello. I will catch up on the chat here in a second. So this is the Geek Room swag bag. You can get a 3D. It's like a. Hey, Robin Eagle song. Thank you for the $20 super chat. Thank you so much. So you can get, and you pick which swag bag you want your entries to go into. So for instance, if you got like 30 entries, if you donated $15, you got 30 entries. You say, I want 10 on Scientist Mel. I want 10 on the Geek Room. Here is Omnieris. You can get a copy of his book, a mug, and a t-shirt. So the images below reflect the styles. This is at like a $55 value. His book called The Negatives, and you get a really cool looking mug and a t-shirt. So if you want to throw 10 entries there, so you pick which swag bag you want to be entered into and where your donation goes to from our list. I think that's pretty cool. Here's Godless Cranium. Godless Cranium, you get a really cool sticker, and you get a t-shirt, and you get a mug. So this is like a $35 value here. And for the record, I have a pretty decent paying job, so I'm going to pay for the cost to print it. So all of the donations go straight to charity, okay? I'm not keeping any of the money to cover these costs. I will foot the bill on that myself, okay? So if you're like, well, how much of my $15 is actually going to go to the Trevor Project? No, I'm going to foot the bill myself. All of the donations go straight to the charity. I'm not going to take any out to cover the cost of making the shirts or printing them, or I'm not going to take any money out of the donation. It's going to go straight there. That's going to be part of my contribution, is paying for the cost of these. So I've got Shannon Q is gonna, I think Sexual Humanist. We're gonna make Sexual Humanist gear. I think Shabisky is gonna get involved, and I've got to put Godless Engineer stuff up here too. So getting all of that together, but it's pretty exciting. So once this goes live, we're gonna have it run for about a month. I think we're gonna have it run for about a month. And you'll be able to, there's the rules, terms, and conditions. We got fancy, guys. Free entry is available by filling out a form. There's a form below. So if you want, but it's just like one entry per household, email, and participant is allowed. So, you can enter for free, one entry, or donate $5 and you get 10 entries. Donate $10, you get 20, and you pick where those entries go. I hope that clears that up. You pick the charity from the list, and you pick where the money goes. So when you do, I've even got a picture here. There's a donate button that'll be on here. So it kind of looks like this. Let's preview it. That was my draft mode. I guess I could have clicked the preview button, but whatever. So this is the Civil Rights Fundraiser. I'll have like a better picture here or something. But there's the donate button, and then it'll take you to this screen. If you want to donate $15, then you put where you would like it to go. I would like to put 10 entries in the Geek Room, 10 entries in Omnieris, and 10 entries to Shannon Q. Please send my donation to Black Lives Matter. So I've got it set up what you need to do for that. It's pretty straightforward. So there we go. But yeah, and then you have to put in your mailing address so I know where it goes. And I guess it'd be also useful to put in your t-shirt size. I did not think about that, but if I've got your email, I can email you and contact you about that later. So if you forget that, it's all right. Okay. All right. So there's one swag bag per creator, but there'll be multiple creators. So, if you just, I think it's fun. I think it'll be pretty cool. All right, let me catch up on the chat. All righty. All right. You totally understand the rough year thing. I know, right? Mistaken Reaper, it's pretty nuts. Okay. Dynacat's here. Cool. Did miss this live. Yes, you're here, Fly family. How are you? Let's see. Let me find out what's going wrong. Or not going wrong. Everything's going wrong, guys. What's going on? Can you tell? I've had like Omni has mugs. Omni doesn't technically have mugs, Robin. He doesn't technically have mugs, but if he wanted to, I guess I could help him with that. But you can win one through the sweepstakes. All right. So, exciting times. Exciting times. And that's a cool mug too because it's black interior and white on the outside. It's just really neat. I sent him all of like the designs and stuff and he thought it was pretty cool. All right. Sweet. All right. So let's talk a little bit. So, talked about the swag bag sweepstakes. And so we're knocking that out. I haven't thought about. I haven't forgotten. I'm having issues a little bit with Printful. I'm printing new stuff, but hopefully, Nether, you and Dinah, your T-shirts should be getting it to you within the next 2 weeks. Please let me know if you don't get them. And I know it'll be tracking. I can send you the stuff. I'll forward you that stuff in email. Screenshot. Hopefully you'll have an idea when you'll get your T-shirts. And don't forget, you can still win these T-shirts just by watching the show. McBoomer's Rejects. That would be me and the Geek Room. That is our collab on the T-shirt. All right. So let's talk about stuff and things. So this rally, that happened last night, and there's people who are like, well, why are we getting so upset about this rally versus like the protests? USPS takes forever to get stuff to Germany, so I'll be patient. Cool beans. So thank you, Nether. So people are going, what about, but this rally that happened? I mean, why are people so upset about this rally with, particularly COVID-19? Well, I'll tell you. If you notice, let's see. Let me pull this up. And this was just published, I believe, this morning. Yesterday. In the evening. It was published yesterday in NBC News. Before the event, local health officials announced the highest number of cases yet to be reported in a single day in the state. Trump actually had AIDS. I don't mean like HIV. I mean White House AIDS that tested positive for coronavirus a few hours before this rally. Okay. And they stayed quarantined in their hotel. But notice, very few masks here. And this is just a little picture. No social distancing. It's a big problem. In fact, some of the rally attendees, here, let me blow this up because I think I need to make this bigger for you. Some of the rally attendees actually made fun of the coronavirus. There was a guy, let me pull this up, and I posted this on my Twitter. Let me pull up my Twitter here. We can have a look at this. All right, there was a guy. So here's the tweeters that I have. It's cool. There's me on Periscope. Isn't that nice? All right. All right. So here, let me click on this tweet. So here's one. Here's a person who was wearing a diaper, no mask. And he said at the Trump rally, Brian Clothier, 61 years old, so he's in the high-risk group, is wearing an adult diaper over his pants that reads, scientists say farts spread the virus. I COVID'd my ass to stop the spread. So you have folks like this, okay? And then you have folks like this. Where this individual, Trump rallygoer, he didn't have a mask, sans mask, It says, we had a friend who died from COVID and his son was on a ventilator. He almost died. So we know it's real, but then at the same time, you don't know what the facts are. You feel like maybe one side plays it one way and the other side plays it another. There are no sides. There are no sides when it comes to facts. Now, you can interpret the facts how you want, but there are no sides. He knew somebody who died from COVID-19, and their son was on a ventilator. And still, utter and complete, total denial on the virus and you know, preventative measures, you know, to lower your risk. So that's why this is a concern. It's, oh my gosh, it's crazy. Let's see. We can thank K-pop stans for minimizing the COVID-19 spread at the rally. Yes, I wanted to point that out too. There were on Gen Z TikTok individuals who went and reserved tickets. And so they went and reserved tickets. It was a massive troll protest. Well, I say troll. I'm just going to say protest because that's what it was. It was a coordinated protest by young, very young people, teenagers even, teenagers, to go and request tickets for this rally. So Trump was expecting around 1 million people, because there were 1 million reserved tickets. Then he thought, well, at least 19,000 would be within the stadium, because the stadium in Oklahoma holds about 19,000 people. And so they even had overflow. They thought, well, we're going to have overflow. There will be like no seats in the stadium. So then they had an outdoor. They had an outdoor section. An outdoor section just for that. I think I have some pictures of that. Let me pull that up. And so it was approximately 6,600 people, according to the fire marshals. The fire marshals who did a head count, there were about 6,600 people who attended this rally overall. So let's pull this up. Let me see. Okay. All right. So here is. So this was posted. So much for huge crowds. So let me blow this up before I show you. I found this on the Facebook, guys. All right. All right. So much for huge crowds. All right. So this is one of the images here. We got this. That's not that many. That's the overflow. Trump campaign cancels address to overflow crowd as overflow crowd fails to materialize outside the Tulsa rally. That's the inside. You know, that's the inside. Notice, plenty of seats, but no social distancing. No social distancing. And so they built the stage and then they tore it down because nobody was there. So thank you, K-pop stans from TikTok. That was pretty awesome protest you did there. And it's life-saving. Let's be honest. That was a life-saving protest. So out of that 6,600, if you assume like 10%, or even 5%, let's assume 5% of that 6,600. And, Oklahoma actually had the highest increase in cases. Let me get my graphing calculator, guys. We're gonna do some math here. So let's say 5%. So let's say 330 people. 330 people went to that rally and were infected. Okay? We already know that one person could conceivably at least infect, let's see, if they infect directly 10 people, then you're looking at 3,300 people easily in new cases. That's just 10. That's within that perimeter. And then now we get into that exponential thing where those 10 then carried over to another 10, then it carry over, and then you end up with this huge number. So we'll probably be looking at at least 2,000 to 3,000 people contracting that virus from this one event total, or at least the cause of around easily 3,000 people contracting this virus, because very few masks, no social distancing. I doubt he had any hand sanitizer stations or anything like that. But in contrast, let's look at, because somebody asked me about this on Twitter, what about the Black Lives Matter? The Black Lives Matter protests. Okay, let's look. Let's look at this. You know, we really do need to have a look, right? We need to completely break this down. Earlier this month, around June 12th, they started, well, even before that, they started to look at the data associated with Black Lives Matter and if the spikes had anything to do with it. No. But also look, you've got masks. I've had some friends actually go to a lot of these protests. Very strict social distancing. They also had hand sanitizer stations. They went through, people were donating hand sanitizer. So, you know, you can Google this. You can look up all of the different data. So, and this isn't the only article. This one is the most recent that I found. Okay, I'll be honest. This is the most recent, but they've been tracking this since the beginning of this month. And still, the general consensus is that the protests are not contributing to the spike. You have responsible behavior and you have irresponsible behavior. Now, we could sit here and pick this apart and go, okay, you know, not only are we talking about a stark difference in purpose of these gatherings, the Black Lives Matter, very, very important protests, and it's needed, okay? A rally for a person who wants to show that he can drink water with one hand and walk appropriately, who doesn't want people wearing masks, who has he actually said he told people to slow on the testing because the numbers were upsetting him. So we're talking about two completely different events. The purposes are completely different, and you have responsible behavior, recognizing that a pandemic is going on, versus irresponsible behavior where people are saying, yeah, I know people who died, but I don't care. So extrapolate whatever kind of qualities you want to from that with these particular individuals. And we'll talk a little bit about anti-science today and what's going on with that. There were a lot of Black and Hispanic people at the racist rally. Good point there, Jammin Gaming. There were also ads put out in Tulsa for brown and Black actors for a particular event that were paid. Let me see if I can find that ad for you. I'm going to close out some of these windows. In Tulsa 2020. Let me see if I can find that. I have to find that. I know on Twitter they were posting a lot of ads for that. And you know, here's the thing about the media. The media is not always good about promoting that. Let's see. I'm trying to find rally event. I need to find the evidence for that so I can back it up. Let's see. I'm trying to find it. Okay. Open link in new tab. Here's Snopes. So let's have a look and see what Snopes has to say. How about we do that? Because, I mean, that's fair. If I'm going to make a statement like that, I need to make certain I can back it up. So fact check Craigslist minority actors Trump Tulsa. Alrighty. Twitter sleuths connected a Craigslist ad for paid minority actors to an upcoming Trump rally in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I like Snopes and I really need to donate more to them. This was on June 15th, 2020. It's currently unproven. So they haven't gotten to the bottom of it yet. So there are claims of this being made, but right now it's unproven. A screenshot was going around. Actors need Ooh, what we get. I heard something and I didn't see it. I'm trying to catch up on the chat, guys. I really, 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 really am. Did y'all hear that? I heard something and I didn't see it. Okay. It's all right. Yep. Okay. Hello, Perry Pilot. Alrighty. Okay, I'm trying to catch up. And Paul Hess, thank you for... I will catch up on the chat, guys. I keep it up. I have like one place where it all collects everything because I stream on Periscope, Twitch, DLive, Facebook, and YouTube. So 5 different platforms. So I have one spot where I can look at all. So, all right, the ad also plays, let's see, open link in new tab. Let's see where this is. Let's dig down. You know, this is what you got to do. So I saw the same claim on Twitter and I'm like, this is pretty interesting. So if you can't find it, Snopes has got your back. I'm just saying. So apparently the jury's still out. It's at 3rd Street near Denver Avenue, which is across the street from Box Center, where Trump's rally will be held. This may be applied towards community service if necessary, in lieu of payment. Snopes is unable to contact the original source for the ad. So while many factors connect the ad to the location and date of the Trump rally, Snopes is unable to contact the original source for the ad and thus can't determine whether this was an attempt to hire actors with minority backgrounds to hold up signs at the rally. The ad was taken down by Craigslist administrators on June 15th, 2020. Snopes was unable to contact the person who posted the ad, but has contacted Craigslist for comment and will update the post if we receive a response. As of June 15th, the page said this posting is being held for review. On June 16th, it was flagged for removal, presumably for a terms of use violation. So, social media posts calling out supposed Craigslist ads that solicit paid actors to show up as supporters frequently pop up before Trump rallies. Snopes identified one from 2019 as unproven. We also investigated others from 2016 and August 27 that were rated unproven. And one from October 2018 we rated as false. So most of the ones they find are unproven. And since we're unable to prove whether Craigslist's ads seeking minority actors and actresses is in any way connected to the Trump rally being held on the same date, we rate this claim unproven. They don't have enough evidence. But still, interesting. Nonetheless, it's worth having a look, isn't it? Let's see. Hey, Sinister Porpoise, how are you? Okay, I'm trying to catch up. Yep, so... RB, I haven't left my apartment since February. I even have my booze. All that delivered. Oh my goodness. Trump got owned by K-pop teenagers. Yes, you hate to see it, don't you? Oh goodness. Let's see. Yeah, let's see. It's the I'm not the other girl thing, man. I think I'll go to the science side when it comes to pandemics. Yeah, that's true, Tony Designs. Um, let's see. Let's see. I'm trying to catch up, see if there's any questions. Man. Okay. All right. I think I've got there now. I'm moving the other way. Alrighty. Okay. Catching up, catching up, catching up. Some content that is not about Petty Officer Shipwreck. Yeah, we don't talk about him here. By the way, Sinister Porpoise, these are available. These are available only by watching the stream. You get Streamlabs points, and then you can win a t-shirt. McBoomer's Rejects. So you're either a racist or a racist. Sounds like Salem. I don't know about that. That must not be towards me. The spin on this from the Trumpers will be hilarious. They blame... no, they absolutely blamed... They blamed the K-pop people. They blamed the media and everybody else. Hey, the family. How are you? I'm still catching up. I'm going to get you. I'll get y'all. Oklahoma has one of the highest transmissivity rates according to RT.live. From what I've seen, it's other sources. Yeah, I agree with that. Alrighty. Alrighty. If you look at Trump himself, you still couldn't mistake him for anything other than an idiot. I can drink with one hand, guys. He had a demonstration for that. Because that's important. Wonder Lady, how are you? I'm sick of Trump showboating and constant advertising, his threatening and his posturing. I'll be glad to see him leave. That would be nice. Hannibal and Monty show, super chat, 2 USD. Trump's Klan rally was both sad and funny. Oh my God, it was. How you doing, Hannibal and Monty? Thank you so much for the super chat. I hadn't even heard that. You hadn't heard that one, Tony. You learned something today. I'm catching up on everything. Oh, God. Yeah, Trump's jokes about the Kung flu at his rally while requiring attendees to sign a COVID-19 legal waiver. No kidding. Oh, gosh. The scientist doing politics. Wow. No pinking leash eye on Periscope. Here's the thing. Politics often drive the direction of science, as does society. And given that COVID-19 is a health risk and being spread, a virus is being spread from anti-science rhetoric, and that's kind of what I do here is counter all that. Can't really separate politics from science often. So comparatively speaking, and I answer questions as we go, and sometimes those questions are I'm not going to sit here and pretend. Yes, scientists often debunk the claims made by top politicians. Let's not forget Mitt Romney and how he thinks that airplane windows should be able to open because of fire. You know, because that's a great idea. Let's have windows to be able to open in a pressurized cabin with thousands of feet above the earth. Or that windmills cause cancer. Or, you know, if it's a legitimate rape, a woman's body has a way to shut that whole thing down to keep from getting pregnant. So many things. And to be quite honest, when I was a high school teacher, and students would ask me, why do I need science? Those are exactly those are exactly the examples that I would use. What's all wrong with these statements? And then I wouldn't even put who said it. And the students look at it like this and this, and I'm like, oh, well, guess what? This politician here said that. And this politician here said that. And this politician here said that. You need to know science so you know when somebody's lying to you. So all the time. And honestly, we don't do that enough. Rallies during a pandemic is a bad idea. Yeah, political science is an actual field of study. I'm still catching up, guys. You're getting there. Let's see. Yeah, K-pop stands tying up the tickets must maybe the best troll ever. Let's call it what it is: a protest by some of our youngest people moving up towards voting age. Good on them, you know. Alrighty, let's see. Still catching up. Still catching up. Oh God. Ah, I'm almost there. All right, and then I want to kind of move on. Presidents nearly make those kinds of decisions. They're just a figurehead. Yeah, I mean, who's in charge of the EPA? Who's in charge of the FDA? Who's in charge of they fired the pandemic task force. I mean, the very group that was meant to help us right now. Um, but hey, he gets to go golfing, guys. So and have rallies to show people how to drink water with one hand. That's my problem with all that. At least Mitt isn't as bad as Trump believing that F-35 was an invisible aircraft. True, and apparently there's an AIDS vaccine, guys, so that's new. There's not. There's not an AIDS vaccine. I'm sorry about the Streamlabs games. Yeah, it's all right. They come up in mine too. I just kind of scroll. I just keep scrolling. Okay, I've caught up. Yay! I want to see if there's any questions. Happen to see any questions. All right. So yeah, Craigslist, Snopes. That's where we were. Actors needed. We saw the ad. Let's see. I've tried to find out that. All right. So we did a little bit of math on how many people could actually contract approximately if we consider the current statistics of about 5%. If 5% of that population actually had it, we'd be looking at probably at least 3,000 infections from that. And we looked at, protests are not contributing to the spike in numbers. All right. Let's talk a little bit about the anti-science. Let's talk a bit about the anti-science. Dr. Fauci recently came out. Let me find it. And I think he has a video. Let's see. So Dr. Fauci's come out and he warns of anti-science bias being a problem in the U.S. Welcome to my world, Dr. Fauci. Let me just say, yes, it is. And I know why. So, Dr. Fauci, expert on pandemic response, immunology, world-renowned expert. I have a friend of mine, Doc Savage, pretty close to Dr. Fauci level, if we're going to be honest, with similar respect on pandemic response and immunology. But let's see. I talk to him all the time. He's a really good friend. And we check numbers. He gives me numbers. So I keep pretty up to date on what experts think, not just what Dr. Fauci says, but other experts. But let's be blunt here. Let me see. Let me show you. So there's several articles. There's one from Science Alert. This is what he has to say. One of the problems we face in the United States is that, unfortunately, there's a combination of anti-science bias that people are for reasons that sometimes are, inconceivable and not understandable. They just don't believe science and they don't believe authority. Fauci said on the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services podcast. So that's what he had to say about that. So let's kind of break this down a little bit. I think I also have a video. Let's see. Let me see what he has to say on attending a Trump rally. Let's see what he felt was important to say about this, if this will ever load. And if it doesn't, that's okay. I can shoot you guys a link and you can watch it for yourself. But while
you've advised that people who are planning to attend President Trump's big rally next week in Oklahoma, that any large group...
Hold on. Let me jump this back and see if I can turn this up. Let me make certain you guys can hear it.
You've advised that people who are planning to attend President Trump's big rally next week in Oklahoma, that any large group, in your words, is a danger and risky. Have you told President Trump himself that this rally and other huge gatherings like this potentially could be very dangerous and risky?
I have not specifically spoken to him about that, but the principles that I have been espousing hold true and stand, as I've said them before. When you're in a large crowd, if you have the congregation of people that are much, much close to each other, you definitely increase the risk that you will either acquire or spread infections. And I've said there are some people that are going to do that anyway.
There we go. That's the thing I was looking for. There are going to be people who do that anyway, who are going to be in large congregations. I've gotten some pushback on Twitter, and that's okay. I'm fine with pushback, about Dr. Fauci. And he's not a hero. He should have taken control of those news conferences and that sort of thing. So now we're entering into my territory. His territory, immunology, spreading virus, that sort of thing. He is not familiar with and doesn't quite understand the anti-science rhetoric, but I do. So why is this a problem in the US? Why are people ignoring social distancing? Why are they ignoring scientists? So I'm gonna talk about this. Let me see if there's any questions in the chat. Yep. Let's see. Tony is Vulcan. Yes, he is. So how much is Fauci caving to administrative pressure? This is where I get into the balancing act, Michael. Okay. I used to be a high school teacher. I've returned to academia, but on a collegiate level. Okay, so I work with adults in trying to help them be successful in their STEM education and careers. That's what I do. I recently wrote an online course for General Chemistry 2, an entire semester's course. I wrote it in about 2 weeks. Go me. So it's been a heck of a semester. Science communicator, professional science communicator, professional science educator, and I'm a published scientist. So having thrown all that at you, if you're new, I know this is my jam. All right, so let's talk about the problem with anti-science in the US. Why are people doing this? Okay. First things first, there is a lot of indoctrination at, there's a lot of indoctrination with, when we're talking about, oh, Michael just subscribed. Woohoo! Thank you for the subscribing. So there's indoctrination to distrust science to a degree. I used to teach evolution in the Bible Belt. In one of the principals who interviewed me and who was my boss for a little while asked me how I teach evolution. And then I explained, I don't tell the kids what to think. I teach them how to think. I give them the evidence. And then they come up with their own conclusions and they make up their own mind. I just want to make certain that they understand what the evidence is. I'm not going to ever tell them that they have to believe something. Belief has nothing to do with it. I want to make certain they understand this is how we do the things, and this is what it means. And then the principal's response is, well, also, they need to know what it is we're fighting against. This was a principal of a school, all right? A principal of a secondary education school, high school. So that indoctrination of not all science is good science, this science is good science, this science is bad science, that is built in to our education system. That's number one, Okay, Dr. Fauci. That's number one. Number two, you have something called the bandwagon effect. The more people believe a particular thing to be true, the more other people will believe a particular thing to be true. This is why we have flat earthers. This is why we have anti-vaxxers. Thank you, Daily Mail. Daily Mail and the media are largely responsible for anti-vaxxers because they pushed a lot of bad science really, really, really hard, but they didn't counter that when Andrew Wakefield was removed, when his paper was retracted, when he went to court over fraud. The guy went to court over fraud. That wasn't covered with the same fervor as vaccines cause autism. And so the more people who believed that vaccines were harmful, the more other people could jump onto that and go, well, all of these people believe this to be true, then this must mean it's true. Because there's that, it appeals to that emotional side of us, right? So you have bandwagon bias, you have the promotion of incorrect information, and the more people who share it, the more they think it's true. And if it appeals to particular ideologies that make you feel good, whether they're awful things, if you're a racist person, racist rhetoric where it promotes you and your particular bias is going to make you feel good. Anything that contradicts your bias is going to make you feel bad, and that's called cognitive dissonance. So people will cherry pick, and there's another thing called confirmation bias. People will cherry pick the things that make them feel good, then they'll build together this idea in their head. You know what? I don't want to wear a mask. I don't want to wear a mask because it makes me feel uncomfortable. I don't like it. Oh, look, if I wear a mask, it's going to cause me to breathe my own CO2. That can't be good for me. So I shouldn't wear it because I'm taking care of myself. You see what I mean? And then other people perpetuate that. There's also research that shows, why is it that charlatans and quacks and people like Gwyneth Paltrow are able to sell garbage as science? They throw in really nice sciencey words. People are more likely to believe charlatans who use emotional appeal, those little inspirational pictures, that you see with, the words on it. People who believe that or who appeal to that tend to not be as intelligent, but then when you throw sciencey words in there, it sounds like they're authorities. So people who present themselves as an authority and use authority sounding words, even if they use them incorrectly, and they appeal to the emotions of the individuals, they're going to be believed, not the scientists. And there's a whole mentality of hard science and elitism and, well, this person has a PhD. They can't possibly talk to me. I'm like, I don't have a PhD, but I have 2 master's degrees. I could get a PhD if I wanted to. I don't know that I want to because I don't know if I have 80% of my time to devote to just the thing when I'm doing so much other good work that benefits a lot of other people. And I find that quite rewarding right now. So I'm like, maybe I'll get the PhD when I'm not so busy doing other really wonderful things. But that's kind of what... So when Dr. Fauci says it's not understood, yes, it is. The National Science Foundation about every 2 years does a study on science indicators. That was one of the reasons why I got into science communication, was to try to reach the adults and go, hey, we need to know that the sun doesn't revolve around the earth. By the way, 27% of the U.S. population thinks that the sun revolves around the earth. There's a large portion that thinks you can boil radiation out of milk. But the National Science Foundation indicators, maybe I'll pull that up here in a second. It's fully understood what's going on, but dismantling that is going to take a lot of work. I've actually worked with teachers. There's one county who still uses the tests that I wrote. They are common assessments. There's an entire county that uses my biology tests that I wrote still. Um, and teachers there didn't know when I was working with them. They didn't know how to write the questions, so I just gave them the questions to use. I'm like, these are good, these are good, these are good, and they built the test for me. But during that time when I was working with those teachers, they asked me how to teach genetics. They asked me what certain words were, like somatic cells. They didn't know some of the basic terminology associated with content that's in the books that they were having the kids read. And so, if we're going to get right down to it, we have a lot of anti-science that's in the, teacher realm too, and a lot of gross misunderstandings of basic concepts. And it's getting worse in the appreciation, in this idea that, I can't do science. I was told I was too stupid to be a nurse by an English teacher in the 7th grade. I have more degrees than that woman now. You have a lot of people that are telling you, science is hard and you're a girl, you should be a teacher. Said to me in 2011 by a guy I did undergraduate research with for about a year. Thankfully, didn't listen to him. I did become a teacher, but that was my only option at the time because he wouldn't write me a letter of recommendation for anything else. But here I am later with a publication on a breast cancer test and 2 postgraduate degrees. But whatever. Anyway, that's a bit of my soapbox with that. It's fully understood why the U.S. isn't listening. Cognitive biases are a big part of that. Indoctrination at an early age and in basically coming from various institutions. So there we go. Let me catch up on the chat now. Let's see. Keep censoring chat. It makes a great echo chamber. Well, if we're being hateful, or if it's not contributing to the discussion, it might get censored, particularly if it's conspiracy theory type of stuff. And to be honest, I get a lot of that all the time on various things, so it's not really an echo chamber. Let's see. Let me catch up on the chat. Let's see. Alrighty. I'm catching up. Technology is the application of science. It is. What about China? Jason asks, what about China? Do you believe they have actually eradicated COVID-19? I don't think you can. Here's the thing with RNA viruses, and I covered this in another show. RNA viruses mutate rapidly. This particular strain doesn't mutate as rapidly as we would expect, but there are different strains, and these different strains are affecting people in different ways. So I don't think it would be like trying to eradicate the common cold. That's not going to happen. We're just going to have different strains of this particular one. But if they are, now the difference, and to be quite honest, the common cold is a coronavirus, just like COVID-19. But the thing about the common cold, the reason why we can't come up with a vaccine is because the receptors on the outside of it constantly change. The receptors on the outside of COVID-19, on the outside of that virus, they haven't changed so much. They're staying the same, which makes developing a vaccine possible. So there you go. Let's see. So yes. Let's see. Other experts like the study of doctors that shows wearing masks reduces risk immune system. I don't know what you're asking there. Wearing masks, if everybody wore masks, it would reduce transmission. And that's kind of the key. I wear a mask not to protect other people. Well, no, not to protect me, but to protect other people. Because I don't have a heavy filtration type of mask where it would eliminate those tiny viral particles. But it keeps me from spreading something if I happen to be asymptomatic, So there's a lot of stuff there. Let's see. I'm trying to catch up on the chat. I'm catching up. I'm catching up. I'm catching up. I'm catching up. So yeah, so Dr. Fauci was saying a lot. Why boil radiation? I'll pull up that website and you guys can see what I'm talking about. And you can look at the raw data yourself. Any info on A blood type people having higher risk for acquiring COVID-19 compared to non-A blood types. I can look that up too. I have seen a few things about that. But I haven't dug into that because sometimes the last time I saw that the data wasn't definitive, and it was a pre-published study that had not yet undergone peer review. So if it's the same study and it underwent peer review, I might be able to dig into that. So Perry Pilot, I'll have a look at that here in just a minute. Yep. You still have to correct our understanding of biology sometimes. Fair enough, man. Humble brag. Humble brag. You'd be surprised how many times I got to defend myself. I had somebody accuse me saying that my degrees weren't real. Okay, and just so you know, there's my little my stoles from both of my stoles from my 2 master's degrees are hanging up right there. That's fine. Hanging up on Princess Shuri on either side. One's science and one's arts. That's okay. Yep. Oh, something interesting. There's the research actually suggests that parents telling children about things they did when younger triggers the young brains to construct memories for these events when there are no actual ones. That's interesting. And honestly, I used to teach preschool babies, up to 2 years old. I did that for a couple years. And one of the things that I did was I would introduce as much sciencey stuff as I could, because by the time the early years, at 3 years old, a child's brain is fully developed for childhood at that point. So all of the experiences that you can get in before that 3 years, music, activities, discovery learning, even if it's, discovery learning with 2-year-olds. Oh, yes. but things like that, you really do them a service. Okay. Yep. I'm catching up on the chat. If you guys have a question, okay. I think the little dog is fake, too mellow. No, Nina's real. She's real. She's Nina the science doggo. She's just hanging out. She's like a little furry. She's the same. Those shoes behind her are Kevin Smith shoes. She's the same size as one of them. Alrighty. So let me pull up. Now I think I've caught up on the chat. Okay. National Science Foundation, science indicators. Let me spell right. Okay. All right. So, let's see. Here we go. Okay, so have a look at this. This is where you can get your information to find out what all they know. Let's see. Understanding. All right, full report. Go to the 2018 report. So they're probably due for another one soon. Let me see. Is the new one out? Is there a new one out? I think there's a new one out. Let's see. There is a new one out. Is it posted online yet? Here you go. Is this it? Innovation. Okay, so, and perceptions of science. Let me see. Where is it? Americans' perceptions of science. Alrighty. So they have their latest one. They had one from 2018, so the new one has come out. Open link. Let's see. So public attitudes, knowledge, and interest. So this is a pretty huge freaking study that they do every 2 years. And they use the same material, public public familiarity with science and technology facts. So here you go. Let's see how many people think the Earth is the center of the universe. Let's pull this up, what we got here. Alrighty. 72. Okay, we're dumber this year, guys. 28% think the sun goes around the Earth. It's gone up a percentage point in 2 years. All radioactivity is man-made. That's false. Electrons are smaller than atoms. 54% got that wrong. Hold on, wait. N is 1,000. Hold on, wait. I need to see more. What is this saying? Okay. Okay, an experiment. An experiment in the 2012 General Social Survey showed that adding the preference according to the theory of evolution increased the percentage of correct from 48 to 72. Let's see. Correct answers to questions about basic facts in physical science and biological science by country or economy. Is that the percentage? I'm confused now. Usually I think that's the percentage. A. Where's A? Open link in new tab. See table for US trends. Let me see. I don't want to block that. Okay, here's the tables for US trends. All right, so if you want to see, this is through 2018. All adults. Okay. Yeah. And so they even go into their age, their graduate degrees, if they have any, stuff like that. I'm pretty certain this is percentage-wise. I need to go up and have a look. Correct. On average, 62%. Okay, so in 2018, Americans correctly answered an average of 62% of the 9 true or false or multiple choice items from the long-running factual knowledge questions. They used the same questions, guys. They used the same question. So 48% of U.S. has horrible science knowledge. Yep. Oh, yep, that is percent. So yeah, that's right. So that is percent. I was looking for that. That's what I was looking for. Oh my God. There you go, guys. Let me blow this up. So yeah, so that is percent. I thought it was, but I just wanted to verify before I kept going. So 42% thinks radioactivity is man-made, and 54% thinks electrons are bigger than atoms. Lasers work by focusing sound waves. 56% think that. Over half think lasers work by using sound waves. Where's the boiling? Where's the? There's one here. I guess they didn't use the boiling milk. Other questions. The universe began with a huge explosion. 62% do not understand the Big Bang. It is the father's gene that decides whether the baby is a boy or girl. So 41% don't know that. Half of the population thinks antibiotics kill viruses. So there you go. Now look at these numbers, and we can compare them to other countries like Canada. Canada does better than we do. Here's China. The center of the earth is very hot. But keep in mind, these population numbers are huge too. So 70,000 people in China, 70,400. We're only 1,175 in the U.S., but still that's a large population size. So, man. Yeah, there you go, guys. And you can look this up. This is all I did. This is what I Googled. I just Googled indicators. I just Googled national NSF science indicators. That's all I Googled, and you can look at all of that. Reasoning, pseudoscience. Let's look up pseudoscience. This is great. Another indicator of public understanding about science and technology comes from a measure focused on the public's capacity to distinguish science from pseudoscience. In 2018, about 58% of Americans said astrology was not all scientific. All right, so this was the information on astrology. And this is the trends from 1979 to 2018. That's pretty interesting. About a third of Americans thought astrology was sort of scientific. So 1 in 3 people think there's some science associated with astrology. But there you go. Have a look for yourself. And that's kind of why I do what I do here. So, Dr. Fauci, it's completely understood why that happens. I just think that's not his field. So, there you go. We're getting dumber, guys. Isn't that sad? That's sad. Oh my goodness. I'm trying to catch up on the chat. Okay. Yeah. Alrighty. Catching up. Alrighty. Technically, if the universe is infinite, then it would be argued that the Earth is the center. Well, I don't think it is. Well, it's expanding. We do know that. Let's see. Trying to catch up. Light amplification by synthetic emission of radiation works by sound. Yeah, apparently some people think that, Sinister. Some people think that. My mother thinks electrons are the size of peas and that if you bend an electrical cord, it works like bending a hose to stop the water. That's almost true. But you would have to actually break the flow of electrons. You'd have to snap the cord. Oh my goodness. Okay, those stats are sad, Scientist Mel. Yeah, they are, RB. But they're there, and it's important for us to acknowledge. This is one of the reasons why people aren't wearing masks. They also think half of the population thinks antibiotics handle viruses. There we go. Alrighty. So, yeah, it's called a switch. True, RP. Oh my gosh. So yeah, that's the State of the Union. But you can also check out the indicators of other countries and see how we fare. Reasoning and understanding the scientific process. God. Let me just look at this one more. This last one here. Oh, I can make this bigger. All right, we'll look at this last one here. Okay. So this is correct answers for the scientific process. So hypothesis, what a theory is, hypothesis, experiments, analyzing data, that sort of thing. So these are over the years, selected years, 1999 to 2018, roughly 20 years. Understanding of probability hasn't changed over the years. The red line is understanding of probability. Understanding of experiment It's interesting how they have similar trends, don't they? It's kind of experiment and scientific inquiry. Those are really correlated, aren't they? The yellow and the blue. The yellow and the blue is understanding, experiment, and overall inquiry, and then we're at understanding of study, just scientific study in general. Hasn't changed that much either, and it's just right around 25%. So 65% understand probability. We have like card games and stuff, so understanding of experiment about half, little less than half understand scientific inquiry, and scientific study only about a fourth of the population understand that. So there you go. That's through 2018. We got work to do, guys. We got work to do. That's all right. We can keep going. We can do it. It's just, it's some days it's just kind of wears on you, you know? So, yeah. So, let me see. Catching up on the chat. All right. Let's see. All right. Okay, I think caught up. So, things that we've talked about. We've talked about the Trump rally. We didn't talk about one more. There's one more thing. I was going to mention some of the racism in science. It's been brought to my attention that there are and there are still scientists who think racism doesn't exist in science. So the racism, it doesn't, for whatever reason, racism doesn't exist in science. Well, there's a funny thing because it's studied. It is actually studied. And there's some really good articles. The Smithsonian Magazine, I really like Smithsonian Magazine, and the reason for that, it's very digestible. It's very layman friendly. It's written in a way that middle school and up should be able to understand. So there's a book. This was posted in 2019. They talk a bit about the Nazis and how they used Nazis officials used calibers to measure an ethnic German's nose, and so they would use that to determine whether or not they were Jewish and what their racial descent was. This is something that has still persisted. In 1950s, you had geneticists doing things. There's still even current publications that discuss, that try to perpetuate this idea of low intelligence and race, which it's absolutely ridiculous. So it kind of just irritates the crap out of me about that, because there's no actual link between the two. What people fail to understand, there's a lot of things that are associated with academic achievement, and very little of it actually none of it really has to do with race. It has to do with resources available to a population. That's coming from a person who's done education research. But hey, whatever. But Nature recently published something, grieving and frustrated, Black scientists call out racism in the wake of police killings. So Nature has been posting more information about it. It is a thing that exists. There's a lot of, hold on a second. Sorry. So, I must have ghosts just banging around my house. Anyway, so you can look up for all of this. But then, what perpetuates a lot of this? Well, we have studies that are done, like I mentioned. It's still alive and well. And any scientists who say that racism does not exist in science, that's what we call blind spot bias. They're thinking that they don't have any kind of bias in there, and it does. There are people who modify their behavior. There was a viral tweet going around with a particular woman of color who basically said, "I flat ironed my hair today because I thought that if I wore my natural hair, you might perceive me differently." And something that you'll learn when you're working in education is the inherent bias that people have. Even when you're writing test questions and when you're generating materials, there is a whole section of study on how do we have good questions that don't inherently reek of bias. And they teach you that as an educator. So it's, you love my coworker. Thank you. Yeah. Nina is the science doggo, and she's here to celebrate science with us. So it's just, if you're saying that there's no racism in science, you're probably racist. So, and not, doesn't have to be intentional, but you are basically a product. You're basically, it's blind spot bias. You think you don't have it, but you do. Oh my goodness. Let's see. Catching up on my chat. Yep. I mean, there's a lot of bias. All right. So let's talk about one more thing. I've recently become a bit more vocal on Twitter about I've recently become more vocal on Twitter about Donald Trump's racism and his behavior and what seems to be this need, or not even this need, but this desire to basically hurt other humans, or people that don't agree with him. Well, thank you for being here, WWJCD. Normally I stream on Saturdays, but I had people doing things yesterday. So coming over to my house and stuff I needed to address, but we're here this morning. So Facebook recently took down some ads because they use Nazi symbols, particularly symbols that are associated with people in concentration camps. He used, so let's see if we can blow this up. Okay. Dangerous mobs of far left groups are running through our streets and causing absolute mayhem. They are destroying our cities and rioting. It's absolute madness. It's important that every American comes together at a time like this to send a unified message that we will not stand for their radical actions any longer. We're calling on you to make a public statement and add your name. And then they used, the symbol is what, if you're not familiar, that symbol is associated with people who were basically anti-fascists who were in concentration camps. So he's calling Antifa this. And so what does Facebook do? Facebook removes them. We remove posts and ads, but I kind of like, are you upset, Facebook? Or do you think enough people are going to get mad at you to where you'll take this down? But not only did he use this, something else that people don't realize, there were 88 posts of this. 88. And if you're not familiar with 88, that's 88's HH, Heil Hitler. So this was blatant. This is blatant, meant to enable the worst of Americans, enable the ones who would promote genocide. Uh, that's what this is. And it couldn't have been any clearer that this is what the goal is. So I've gotten a bit controversial myself. I was like, well, my grandfather fought in World War II, won a Silver Star for saving the lives of about 8 different men. He was an Army engineer. They happened to be, oh gosh, I can't remember which country. He wasn't recognized until the 70s. He wasn't recognized until about 1975 for his heroism. There were troops that had fallen out of a boat. They were coming back from the coast, going back to like the main boat. And there's some troops that had fallen out of the boat, and they were in the water, and they were calling for help. But there were also Germans in the water too. They were also calling for help. They got wind. They're like, well, we can call for help. Call the Americans over to us, and we can kill them. Take out more of the American soldiers. When my grandfather, nobody else would go with him because they were too afraid. He got a boat, little rowboat by himself, went out there and pulled all those men out of the water and took them back to the main ship. He wasn't recognized for that until the 70s. He stormed Italy. He was there during the Mount Vesuvius eruption. We actually have a coin, an Italian coin in a lava rock. He raided one of the Nazi headquarters, got a bust of Hitler, got all kinds of parade paraphernalia. He actually he had a German officer's sword with an engraving on it, had a cat's head with ruby eyes. He would be horrified and he's long since passed. He passed in the 90s. He would be horrified by this. Absolutely horrified by this. And so I'm like, okay, my grandfather was anti-fascist and awarded, by the government, got a parade and everything for being anti-fascist. I'm anti-fascist. Give me that red triangle. I will wear that red triangle. Come and get me. Had I lived during that time, I probably would have been put in a camp. Scientist, woman. I would have been hiding people if I lived in that time, if I was caught. So yeah, I'll wear the red triangle. I'll wear the yellow and black. Give it to me because, that's who we are. And those individuals, Trump is using that, and he's basically saying anybody who speaks out against me, their free speech right, deserves to be killed. That's what that reads to me. So if you think I deserve to be killed for being anti-fascist, come get me. And that's what I mean by that. Some people are like, well, we shouldn't wear those symbols because of these people died and all of that. Well, you know what? We're kind of, some of them have been reclaimed already. The pink triangle, they use that throughout history as a safe space for LGBTQ individuals. You can come here, pink triangle. That's the symbol. There's one here in my downtown area that they were still using back in early 2000s. The pink triangle. And people need to understand that the gay people weren't liberated from those camps. They were still incarcerated and for the rest of for their crimes. So even though they liberated all the concentration camps, they put the gay people in prison still. So they reclaimed that and said, hey, this is a safe space for you. So hey, I'll wear the red. I'll wear the yellow and black. We're female race defiler. So if you haven't seen them, you know what? I'm like, fine, come get me. That's my perspective on that. And somebody's like, well, that might be in poor taste. Well, if they're going to label me as that, fine. That's what I am. I'm anti-fascist. Come get me. They can't fight all of us. That's right. They can't fight all of us. Um, you know, so, oh gosh, I'm sorry. So many sad things in here. They're pushing it for the people need to learn what the dog whistles are and to stop falling for them. No kidding, Nether. Um, it's an upsetting time. How is any American not anti-fascist? I know. So yep. So it's a scary time, guys. But you know what? You know what? Let's be louder. Let's use the correct descriptors. Because, we see a lot of the media, they're saying certain things and they're like, well, he's so controversial. No, this is illegal. He's telling protesters that they're not allowed to protest. That's, a constitutional violation. Let's use the correct descriptors. And if people don't like the correct descriptors and it makes them uncomfortable, good. You need to be uncomfortable right now. We all need to be uncomfortable right now. And we need to express that. So good on the K-pop stans. I'm proud of you. That's a good way to protest. We have the internet. We have all of these resources. Use the correct descriptors. Back up your claims with evidence. Okay? There are some people who are afraid to speak out because their jobs might fire them, or they're going to have problems at work with their coworkers and that sort of thing. Nobody can fault you for making a claim if you back it up with evidence. If your claim isn't oppressive, if it's not racist, if it's not sexist or ableist or whatever, and you're trying to refute something, or you're trying to say, this is my perspective, back it up with a claim. I'm fortunate with my job at the college that I'm associated with. We got an email about the Black Lives Matter. And see, people are like, political. Well, my college emailed everybody about the Black Lives Matter protests and what we need to do to make certain we are addressing the systemic racism. And they expect us to speak up about it. I customarily use that as a great example. If I'm giving a lecture, I'll talk about how Black people have been shafted, like Hidden Figures. That is just one example. There are countless examples of oppression on Black people, women of color, women, just people stealing your work. So that starts a good conversation on ethics. And then you can talk about, why is diversity important? Airbags, perfect example. No women engineers on there. Turns out the expansion of the airbag could cause death for women because they had breasts. So diversity, even on the most basic level, that's a perfect time to bring up those discussions because ethics plays a role in science research. So you can point this out. Have the hard conversations. Address it and don't be afraid to use the correct words. But make certain you have evidence and you have not just, hey, this person said this thing, but solid, defined, even peer-reviewed. You can pull up peer-reviewed studies on racism and use that. There's ways to have that conversation. So if your job is like, well, you're too controversial and you can't really talk about these things in your private life, or if you're like, if you're afraid of that, go about it a little different way if you want, but talk to your friends, talk to your family, share that information, call it out when you see it online. That's really, really important. All of that's important. All right, I'm catching up on the chat, and then I'll let you guys go. I don't have a game set up for today because it's just kind of like how am I going to play a game about this? This is so much serious stuff. And so, yeah, wow, whirly, right, RV? Also, classic pistols. My sister got into history because of my grandfather. And his his mother, my great grandmother was Cherokee. And so before he died, he wrote out his entire life of all of his memories, his memoirs. And my sister has that, and it's fascinating, absolutely fascinating. The life that he's had with my great grandmother, and on through the diversity there and the diverse experiences. He was a carpenter. He died poor, which was sad. But there you go. Okay. Still catching up. Still catching up. We're all good. I suggest you rock the scraps kilt style. Hairy legs a plus, says Nether to Tony. uh, can I use that as an excuse if I get pulled over for not wearing a seatbelt? I always wear my seatbelt. Oh my goodness. Well, so that's really all I wanted to talk about today. Java, us unfiltered. I'm against fascism. However, I feel fascists have hijacked the anti-fascism movement. A lot of the riots, there's more information about that. The rioting that was associated with the Black Lives Matter protests, the riots, a lot of that was perpetuated by people out of town and white supremacists, not Antifa or anti-fascists. So there you go. So, I too have Cherokee heritage, and like Warren was told, Indian princess background. Yeah, no, I didn't have that. Mine wasn't fancy like that. Mine was, they lived in a cabin, and my great grandmother hid under the bed while her sister was raped, kind of stuff. It was not really nice. I think they burned down the cabin. She got out and married. Yeah, not particularly fancy. I met her when I was 3. She was on her deathbed. She had a little bell next to her bed that she could ring if she needed help. But I got to meet her once, and she died shortly after that. And that was I believe that was in Florida. She had moved to Florida to live with some family there, American white family. But yeah, there you go. So things we've talked about. We talked about the swag bag, guys. Woohoo! Don't forget, I hope to have that up soon. You can go to my website, ScientistMel.com, and we can pull in. You can go there. It takes a minute. There we go. And so Jackson Wheat's got a couple articles there, but you'll be able to go here, and it'll be on the splash page on the front. And I've got audio podcasts are still here. You can subscribe to the RSS feed. I also have articles that I've written. I've got a shop, so you can check out the shop. Some of the stuff that I have, I donate all proceeds to charities. And that's under a separate thing. It's taken a while to load. So like, here we go, Queer and STEM. All of my Pride merchandise, all of the proceeds go to the Trevor Project. So if you like a particular shirt there, science is non-binary. I've got Blocked by McBoomer. Those proceeds go to the Museum of Natural History in Arizona. I liked this one, active setting science mode. So, but I'm trying to add new stuff. But for whatever reason, Printful's being weird right now. But you can get all these things. Women in STEM t-shirts, push my buttons, and we can multiply. Scientist. So yeah, so do check that out. As far as the fundraiser, that will be happening. I'm hoping to have that up sometime this week or next. Let me pull this up. I don't know why it's doing this. So, quick edit. I'm just going to do edit. I'm going to click on that because it's all bunched up together and it looks weird. Alrighty, preview. So this is not out yet, but it will be. It will be the Civil Rights Fundraiser. So don't forget, I've got to change the dates, the sweepstakes. I'm still getting more YouTube and other content creators involved. I've got to get their stuff so I can put their swag bag together. I'm paying for the actual cost to print the stuff. So any and all donations go straight to the charity organizations. And you have a link. You can pick which organization you would like your donation to go to. And so you can enter for free, at least one entry, for free. And then we've got, if you donate $5, you get 10 entries, and you can pick which swag bag you want your entries to go to. So like here, if you donated 15, that's 30 entries. You could put 10 in the Geek Room, 10 in Omnieris' stuff, 10 in Shannon Q. Also have Godless Engineers getting involved. Hannibal and Monty are getting involved. I think Shabisky's going to get involved. I think Pimp might get involved. I think Jeff Holiday is going to donate time. He doesn't want me to do swag, but he wants to donate maybe time. So I'm going to see if maybe I can get him to do like a chat, like a video chat, like a 30-minute video chat or something like that. And you can pick which organization you want your donation to go to. And then you can pick which swag bag you want to put your entries into. For me, it's any design from my store. Any design from my store. It doesn't have to be the ones pictured. So you get a mug, a t-shirt, and a bag, whatever you want. As far as style. Geek Room, you can get a Geek Room t-shirt, mug, and sticker. That's another swag bag. Omnieris, you get a book, you get a t-shirt, and a mug for that swag bag. That one is like worth $55. Godless Cranium, t-shirt, cup, sticker. I'm putting together Shannon Q stuff, putting together Godless Engineer, and I will pay for the cost out of my own money. All of the donations go straight to the charity. I'm not pulling cost out of that. So straight to charity. I have a pretty good paying job. So that's going to be my donation is just to pay for the costs. So there you go. So you can enter one free entry, and you can pick which swag bag you're wanting your entry for. You'll put your address, and so at least one free entry. There are parameters. You can't put in multiple different addresses, email addresses, and all that. It keeps up with that. So just one entry per person, per household, that sort of thing. That's free. So I mean, just throw $5 and get 10 entries, guys. I mean, come on. That's kind of the point. So I'm trying to raise money for different civil rights organizations. You can pick where you want the money to go. So that'll be cool. Woohoo! All right. Gaming for Good World Without Oil. Okay. Shoot that to me on Twitter, Jane McGonigal. Send me that information on Twitter. Alrighty. I think I'm all caught up. Alrighty. I think I'm all caught up on the chat. Okie dokie. Alrighty. Okay. All right. I think we're caught up on the chat. All right, guys. Well, let's read a little bit from Mr. Rogers, and then we're going to call it a day, right? Let's see. Which topic, which category should we go with? I love Mr. Rogers. How about We Are All Neighbors? We'll read from that category. Let's see. That's back here. All right. Okay, I think we did that one for... Okay. Where is it? I'm trying not to do something too long. All right, here we go. So this is The World According to Mr. Rogers. I freaking love Mr. Rogers. All right. All of us at some time or other need help. Whether we're giving or receiving help, each one of us has something valuable to bring to this world. That's one of the things that connects us as neighbors. In our own way, each one of us is a giver and a receiver. So, if you're in a position to where you can give, give. If you need help, reach out. That's all. All of us at some time or other need help. Whether we're giving or receiving help, each one of us has something valuable to bring to this world. That's one of the things that connects us as neighbors. In our own way, each one of us is a giver and a receiver. So, thank you, Mr. Rogers. The world according to Mr. Rogers. He used his platform in protest in one of the best possible ways. And I do actually talk about Mr. Rogers on my channel and how his form and brand of education is still studied and used. People do an entire, like, their PhD and thesis work on it. It's amazing. All right. So, you guys have an awesome Sunday. I know it's Father's Day, so if you're a father, happy Father's Day. If you find today particularly difficult, I'm thinking about you, and I hope you have a pleasant day. And I'll see you guys next Saturday. You can find me on ScientistMel.com. You can send me an email there. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me on Facebook.com/ScientistMel. You can reach me there. I also have a Discord, and I'm on Twitch and DLive as well. And I guess I'll end with Mr. Rogers. You always make each day special for me. You know how? By just your being you. I will see you guys next time. Bye.